Mm-hmm.
Now, when you're checking these lights in the back, it's best to have the examiner help you because then you don't have to keep running up and back. All right, coming down, then we check our left and right turn signal and our four-ways. So we'll do that. Okay. After checking all those, we check our rear reflectors, make sure they're clean and the proper color. And mention to the examiner, these are our reverse lights, and the only way we can check them is to go in, start the truck up, put it in reverse and see if they work. All right? Most of the time, just by mentioning that, he'll say, okay, good enough. All right? We check our license plate, which is upside down. Of course, that figures. Everything in this city's upside down. We make sure that it's present, clean, and secure, and visible. All right? And the last thing we check in the back is our axle, but we'll probably have to get off to the side to see it, right? Properly. You make sure it's not damaged. Then you check your rear differential, which is that big round pumpkin type thing there. You make sure that that's not leaking from the plugs. You make sure the plugs are secure and not leaking. Be leaking axle oil from the plugs. So you make sure of that. So after checking all that, then we're back to our rear duals again. And once again, most of the examiners will accept when you say you check everything on this wheel and rim as you did on the other side, tire as you did on the other side, brake system, suspension system, etc. They'll accept that, rather than have you go through the whole thing over again.
Okay.
All right. Side of the truck, start at the top, work our way down. Start with the side marker lights. Make sure they're working, clean, and the proper color. Our side reflectors, make sure that they're clean and the proper color. The frame, make sure there's no bends or cracks or any other kind of damage to it. Our drive shaft, on this side, you check for damage, no bends or cracks. Check that the couplers are secure and that there's no foreign objects in the couplers. Okay, and that brings us back to our cab. That completes the walk around from the outside of the truck. We close our hood and lock it. Then we get in and we do our air brake tests before going to our road test. Now we're back in the truck and we do our air brake tests. The first test we do with the engine off. We release the parking brake. We're drifting. All right. We're still drifting. All right, we release the parking brake and we time the drop. All right? You shouldn't lose more than 2 psi in a minute on a straight vehicle. If you do, you're losing too much air. You have to have the problem fixed or you can't drive the truck. All right. Second part of the test is you push on the service brake hard, at least 90 psi of pressure. And you hold your foot on the service brake for the entire minute, okay? After the initial drop, you shouldn't lose any more than 3 psi in that minute or you're losing too much air. You have to have the problem fixed before you can drive the truck. The next test, we're checking our low pressure warning signal, all right? So we have to have our electric on. The low pressure warning signals going already, which meant that we were down to 60 psi of pressure.
Okay.
How you would do the test if you had a fully charged system, you would pump the brake on and off until you reduce the air pressure, and the low pressure warning buzzer should come on before you reach 60 psi, like so. That's your low pressure warning signal.
Okay.
Next test, we're checking that our parking brake or spring brakes come on by themselves. So we keep pumping the brake to reduce air pressure, and the parking brake should come on between 20 and 40 psi. Okay, that's that. Now, the last tests are done with the engine on. Next test, we check the rate of air pressure buildup. We start the engine, and in fast idle, the air pressure should build up to 85 psi in 45 seconds. And while that's going on, we can explain the next test and cover 2 tests in one, and the examiners like that. You explain to them that the air compressor governor kicked on at 100 psi, so it's going right now. And once the air pressure builds up to 125 psi, the air compressor governor kicks off, and the air will stop rising. So, all right, we're checking our rate of air pressure buildup. We're supposed to build up to 85 psi in 45 seconds. And while that's building up, we explain to our examiner that the air compressor governor is going because it kicks on when the air pressure drops to 100 psi. So that's going right now. And it will continue pumping air until it builds up to 125 psi, and then the air compressor governor will kick off. So actually you're covering 2 tests in one operation here. How's your time? We only have 2 tests left. All right, after you've reached full air capacity, which is 125 psi, we do the last 2 air brake tests, which are testing the parking brake and the service brake. Test the parking brake, make sure it's on, put the truck in gear, give it a little bit of gas, and see if the parking brake holds. The last test is to test the service brake. Put the truck in gear, release the parking brake, go about 5 miles an hour. Put the service brake on. Notice that any vehicle pulling to one side or the other, unusual feel, or delayed stopping action. That concludes your walk-around inspection and air brake test. Going?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we just want you to know that this production today was brought to you by Vaseline brand petroleum jelly, the exclusive brand of the city employees. Vaseline petroleum jelly, guaranteed to do the job. All right. We hope you enjoyed this today, and we're going to have copies made for all you guys that want them. That way you can study at home for your test. And then if you're stuck on anything, then I'll be there to answer your questions, hopefully. All right? But remember, Vaseline brand petroleum jelly, that's what you want to get. Plenty of it around here, especially if you want to hang around any length of time, like me, see? I get it by the 55-gallon drum.